Welcome back to another episode of the Working Joe's podcast with me, Zack, and my co-host Ralph Wolf. And don't forget to download the podcast on Android using Stitcher or Podcast Addict, or if you have an Apple phone, use iTunes. Guys, welcome back to the Working Joe's podcast. I am Zack by the Book Yoda, alongside Ralph, you can't EWC me, Wolf. Ralph, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great. I'm glad you used that in the intro because I do have a job that I went to that had an EWC problem.
Holy moly, look at the odds of that.
Not an EWC problem, but the guy that called me, the customer, he thought it was an EWC problem. And I said, it's very highly unlikely that it's the zone panel. He said, no, I just had the home warranty company come out, and it was. He condemned the board. I said, why didn't he replace it? Well, the home warranty company won't replace the zone panel. So I said, well, I can replace it, but I want to come look at it first. I'm just not going to just come out there and say, yeah, let me bring a board with me.
Good thing, huh?
So I go out to the guy's house, and sure enough, the bedroom zone. Now this is a 5-ton system. Bedroom zone's a 10-inch run. He had a second zone that was a 10-inch. Another zone I think was a 12, and then the basement. I don't know what size that was. So I'm watching this thing run, and what it's doing is running for like 3 minutes. And I catch the supply air sensor once or twice opening up. So I was already watching the bypass damper. And when that one zone was calling, the master bedroom zone, when it was calling, that bypass damper was wide open. Because you can imagine a 10-inch zone on a 5-ton system running by itself.
That's a lot of bypass air.
That's a lot of bypass, and that's a lot of air, 40-something degree air going into the return. So you can imagine that supply air sensor was just, of course it was going to open up or say it was too cold. So what I wound up doing was to just kind of get them going. Oh, and that's not what was going on, actually. The guy would have never noticed that his system wasn't working, except when the supply air sensor came on, it shut the system completely off. Fan, outdoor unit, everything. Now, on the zone panel, if the supply air sensor says, hey, it's too cold, it won't turn the fan off, because you need the fan to warm everything up to bring the system back on again.
Right.
But when it shut everything down, it was waiting 5 minutes before it would bring the system back on again. And so that's where the problem came out. So I was like, what in the world is going on? I'm checking voltages. I got voltage from my thermostat. I got voltage in between G on the equipment side and common, the equipment side of the zone panel. All right, so I go to the furnace and I open it up. And I'm looking at a brand new zone board. Now, the guy said that he had a home warranty. So I asked him, I said, did he replace the circuit board in the furnace? He said, no. I said, have you had anybody do anything to the furnace? Nope. So I'm thinking, well, the old homeowner had home warranty too. Mm-hmm. And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, it just doesn't look right. So I start to take my voltages and the damn board just falls. It's not secured at all. And I'm like, what in the world? And then I see the standoffs from the old board. And this is it's that White Riders 056 board for, it's kind of like a multi-purpose board, but the 056 does nitride, I can't never pronounce it, the nitride igniter, and the 055 does the carbide igniter.
Right.
Well, so they put the wrong board in to begin with. Plus, it was a 2-stage board on a single-stage furnace. I was like, what? Dude, 3 strikes and you're out.
Well, we had it on the truck, man. What do you expect us to do?
So I break off all the standoffs and mount the board with screws. And I'm holding the button down, and I'm just letting this thing run. So I'm holding the button down, and sure enough, when it goes into G's calling by itself, the whole thing shuts down.
Huh.
I'm like, what in the world is going on with this thing? So I told the guys, like, I'm not screwing around because it's all the connections were there,
Right.
you know. So I'm like, I'm not screwing around. You need a new board. So he agreed to do a new board, and um, he's also going to do a new SBD bypass damper because the one that was there is a barometric. So, and I also took zone 1 and zone 2, which were 10-inch runs by themselves, and I made them one zone and said, look, you just those zones by themselves are just too small.
Yeah, so now you got a bigger zone. Hopefully you won't bypass as much air and therefore keep the temperature a little bit higher on your supply air sensor.
Right, because they actually had the supply air sensor set for 46 degrees,
Toasty.
which is pretty warm. Yeah. So I lowered that. And once I lowered it and lowered the temperature and then changed made those two zones one zone, it had a longer run time, but it did still go off.
Man, oh man. Did you adjust the hand damper in the bypass?
What hand damper?
Oh no.
No, it's funny because, we had an EWC zone panel because it was a 4-zone, right?
Right.
And, well, EWC, the BM Plus 3000, is only a 3-zone. So they use the expansion pack to have a 4-zone. That's probably why they didn't use a Honeywell bypass or zone panel, because all the dampers were Honeywell.
Man, so you could use the 3-zone panel now that you integrated 2 zones into one, right?
I could, yeah,
Wow.
I could. So they spent way too much money. The installing contractor. That goes sometimes. Well, as well as I do, inexperience will cost you a ton of money.
Sure. That's pretty bad. I see, like I tell the guys, I was talking to a guy up in his attic the other day about his zone panel. So like 90% of these things are installed incorrectly. That was before I knew the information that Trey had to tell us.
Right.
So I mean, even now I spotted stuff that I didn't see before. So it's amazing.
Right. It's just, a lot of people don't like zoning because they don't understand zoning. And I know there's still guys out there that hate bypasses. Hate them. To do on a system that is 5 tons with these smaller zones. You know what I mean?
It's tough to have small zones on a large system like that. And so you have to think about that stuff. Sometimes you can't have a 10-inch zone on some kind of colossal system.
Well, you can't have a 10-inch zone on a 5-ton anyway.
Right.
It just doesn't make any sense. So hopefully by putting the new bypass on and at least putting the board on will fix the problem, because the fan will continue to run.
Right.
And not just shut everything down.
Was this fan an X13 motor?
No, it was a PSC.
PSC motor. Wow. So it would run when you got the cooling call, but not when you got the fan call.
Mm-hmm.
Wild. Interesting. Well,
Yep.
That's definitely a cool story and sheds a little bit more light on zoning, which we're not talking about today, but we did talk about just recently. But today we're talking to Bob. So let's get into talking to Bob Belvick from Inficon, which today we're going to learn about something, and you're going to know a little bit about something you weren't expecting. By the end of the day, you will then realize what a thin film is. Enjoy, everybody.
We also have, obviously, you guys know we have our scale, the Waytech HD wireless. We also have the Waytech, just regular Waytech. That's a wired scale. That one we've had for quite a while, actually. The HD wireless is much newer, but the other one, it has basically a phone cord that attaches to a wired handpiece, and it's also very durable. I wasn't around when that one was designed, so I can't say if you'd be okay running it over with a truck. I think you're okay. I know I've seen a lot of our reps throw it around on the floor and stuff, and not to demonstrate how durable it is. So that's a really good product for us. We sell a lot of those actually. And we have the Vortex Dual recovery machine. That one we've had that for a couple of years. We've had recovery machines for a long time, but the Vortex Dual is only I want to say we've had it about 3 years now, and it's an excellent recovery machine for us. A lot of guys are really liking it. We've had the testing done, for the speed testing and everything, and it performs right at the top or at the top on everything.
What's the weight on it?
It's about 30 pounds. So it's a little bit heavier than some of them on the market. It's a little bit lighter than others. Nice thing is that kind of helps out with that is we give you a shoulder strap with it. If you got to carry it around, just strap it over your shoulder. You're good to go, basically. Right. It uses a microchannel condenser on it and a 1 horsepower motor. So the motor keeps things running really nicely. The condenser exchanges heat extremely well, and it's got a huge fan on the back of it too. So the unique thing about ours that you don't see with a lot of other recovery machines is because of all those features, the way we designed it, it actually runs faster when the temperature goes up, when the ambient temperature is higher. It's really not what you would expect, but and I could send you some data too on it from our testing. But when we tested it, I think it was with 22, we did the regular vapor test and then a high temp vapor test, and the high temp vapor was faster than the regular one.
Insane.
Wow, that's the opposite of what I would have thought.
Right. That's really what we try to tell everybody too, because that's when you need it to perform, is when you're up on a rooftop and it's 120 degrees. It's going to be moving, or it's going to be moving the refrigerant faster at that point, and that's a great thing.
Absolutely. That market's really saturated too right now. We have the
Appian really
G Twin, we have the single, we have the field piece coming into the market with their thing. So it's probably a tough fight over there for you guys, because you got to get your name out too.
There's definitely a few of them out there, and I think for the most part, Appian has the majority of market share there, which they do a great job. They do a great job with marketing. Their stuff is pretty good. Their recovery machine is pretty solid. A lot of guys love it, and they've had it a long time. But we think ours is better. But the other thing with ours that it kind of stands for all of our products, but our warranty is usually, almost always, our warranty is going to be better than the other guy. The Vortex Dual, we do a 3-year warranty on that. The scale and all the handhelds, we do a 2-year warranty. Gasmate is 3 years also, but and it's all over-the-counter warranty. So if you have a problem, you take it to your distributor where you bought it. They call us up. They talk to one of our people on the 800 number, and we go through a couple basic troubleshooting steps with them. And we go, usually, if it's a legitimate warranty, which it usually is, we give them an authorization number. The distributor gives you a brand new unit right off the shelf, and then they send us the broken one.
So there's no sending your stuff in and us having to do without.
Exactly. You don't have to wait. You go to the distributor, you get your new unit, you go do your job.
That's worth it right there.
That is definitely worth it. There's nothing worse than sending your tool off and having to wait and using second best until you get your new one back.
You hear about it all the time. The guys are like, "Man, I had to send off my meter." Usually, it's electrical meters are always talking about. I didn't get it back for like 4 weeks. I have to use this piece of crap in the bag, but that's fantastic. That's a lot better.
Yeah, we try to do right by our customers in that respect. It's really we know what you guys are out there. You're out there doing stuff, and you need your stuff to work. So
yeah, we depend on it.
If it doesn't, exactly, yep. And if it doesn't work, we want to make sure it does. We want to make sure you have something that does. So, obviously, we, every situation doesn't work out perfectly, but in the majority of cases, we're able to make everybody happy and get you back on the road with a good working unit.
Well, that's in every case, though. Every situation, it doesn't matter what it is and what industry. You always have that one or two times. Oh man, it's just there's nothing we can do.
One guy won't be happy. It don't matter.
Yeah.
I heard some guy ran his stuff over with a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy.
He got mad at it and he shot it.
Hey, but his wife left him. Oh,
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
What about another saturated market? Vacuum gauges. Are you guys in that?
We are in vacuum gauges, and you're right. Yeah, there's a ton of vacuum gauges out there. Wireless ones, not wireless ones. There's everything, and digital and not digital. They're everywhere. So, but yeah, we only have one entry in that market. It's called Pilot Plus. We've had it for a number of years. It's a pretty good product for us. The nice thing about our Pilot, of course, it comes with an over-the-counter warranty, just like our other stuff.
Now, how long was that warranty?
The Pilot, I'm not 100% sure. The Pilot might be the only thing that we only have for 1 year, but it may also be 2. I'm not 100% sure. But most everything else is 2 years, like I said, and then the Gasmate and Vortex are 3 years. But it is another over-the-counter warranty, so that's same situation. You bring it in, and you end up leaving with a new unit as long as it's not as long as you didn't drive it over with a truck.
Hey, I only do that if I have permission, or if you make me mad. Yeah, I've had a couple tools that I'd love to run over with the truck.
Well, hopefully none of mine.
No.
Pilot's a pretty good gauge. Like I said, it's or vacuum gauge. It reads in different units. You can read it in microns and torr and Pascal and bar. I believe you can also set it to. It just has one fitting. It's a pretty simple unit to use. It only
one
has
fitting in, a female fitting.
It's a male.
It is actually ours is a male fitting. We give you a quarter inch flare male fitting on the.
You should really change that.
Yeah, I've heard that before, and that'll probably happen on the next generation.
Yeah, and the reason why is because we're trying to get guys from pulling through their gauges, and and hooking the micron gauge up directly to the unit.
Oh, okay.
So the male is just one of those deals where it's just like, well,
I got something for you there, Ralph. Okay, think about this. If it's female or if it's male, because I thought about this too, because there's some male ones, there's some female ones.
Right.
And I know what you're saying about trying to get it away from the gauges, because God forbid, they should definitely get away from the gauges. But the male, you don't have to change O-rings and crap like that.
Well, that is definitely true.
So that's kind of nice. I mean, you can get that brass fitting to go to the unit if you want to. But there's the O-rings on the field piece that I've had for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Pain in the butt. So.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I had to do mine the other day.
So there you go. See. Don't change it.
Well, maybe I won't.
Like anyone listens to us anyway.
Wait. For you guys that are watching this, please leave a comment on the YouTube channel.
There you go.
And let us know, and we'll take a poll.
That's always great information. We love hearing from our customers, or for guys who aren't our customers, I'd love to hear why.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Maybe a guy goes, "Hey, I didn't buy that piece of crap gauge because it's got a male fitting on it."
Yeah, there's a guy out there, Ralph.
There is a guy, but there is a way y'all could include a little fitting, like Testo does. They have a female on both sides.
Yeah, and then take away the worst part, which is the Testo gauge.
Oh, there you go.
And we're not saying that to be mean. We're saying that because it's true.
It's true. It's definitely true.
It's very bad. It's very bad.
I hope you don't talk about my stuff behind my back like that.
No. Hey,
this was verified yesterday and in many other instances.
I've been telling Zack for a couple of years that Testo vacuum gauge is the worst vacuum gauge on the market. And unfortunately, he got sent one, and he tested it, and he found out why. The first time it worked great.
Yeah. The first
the
time it
second
works every time. First time.
Yeah. But the second time was not. He didn't get good results.
It was just one of those things where a lot of guys have confirmed that, unfortunately. But
Zach has to be hard-headed.
yes, that's right. I gave it the benefit of the doubt. And,
but it was one of those tools that on another podcast that he does, they give away tools, and that was one of the tools that he was going to give away. And I said, Zach, I thought you were giving away a great tool. So he gave the guy a choice. He gave the guy a choice. Do you want this or do you want something else? And the guy picked something else.
You know what the something else was?
What's that?
Ultrasonic leak detector.
Was it really?
It was.
Well, cool.
Yeah, it's a small world after all. But, I should have kept it so I could have tried it out.
Yeah.
So it's too late now. It's gone. But what is left from Inficon that we could hear about as far as tools or whatever?
So other than that, what we talked about so far, we do have. We also have a vacuum pump. It's a 5 CFM. It's called QS5. 5 CFM vacuum pump, half horsepower motor. It's a good pump. Not also has a 2-year warranty over the counter. So it's a pretty good pump. It's not the biggest pump in the world, obviously, but it does its job.
I definitely don't need. I know people have like 9 CFM vacuum pumps.
Yeah,
5 is fine. I mean, the hoses don't carry 5 CFM through them. So
for what we're doing for residential work, 5 is plenty.
Yeah, for residential, 5 is plenty. You're right. I mean, you're only talking when 5's not enough. You're only talking really big systems.
Yeah.
And but even then, I've heard a couple people say, oh, I just hooked up a 2 or 3 of these 5 CFMs and it worked. But I don't know if that. Yeah, I don't.
That's insane.
That's wild. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Actually, somebody told me that the other day. Some guy I ran into at a counter day somewhere.
But there's an experiment for you.
Yeah. So you do participate in counter days?
Yeah, I do. Occasionally, we all chip in a little bit. We're a relatively small group as part of Inficon, but I'll go do a counter day or two. My my boss, who's the sales and marketing manager, he'll go do a couple counter days, and we all split the trade shows and everything. So we get out there, and as product manager, I really like to get out and talk to customers anyway, and see what you guys like and don't like about the products and stuff, so we can make them better.
So you have any plans on coming to Atlanta? The Atlanta?
Not right now, but I mean, I could. That's certainly not out of the question.
I had a text sent to my phone just now from one of our buddies, and the text says for me to ask Inficon. I don't know how he knows. This is Brent Ridley. I'm supposed to ask Inficon, and he doesn't even know we're doing this right now, if there's any interest in the digital gauge market. And he's asking because he loves the digicools and wants somebody to buy the digicools, the technology behind them. So do you guys have any plans in that area?
Not that I'm aware of.
If you saw this video, it might change your mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or their mind.
Yeah, I'll have to. Honestly, I don't want to say yes or no on that because I'm not really 100% sure. I know we definitely have some things coming up. Like I said, with the DTEC 3, and we've got some other stuff in the works. So there's that stuff. Definitely could happen, but can't really say right now.
Well, we could do it this way. Bob, just blink twice if you guys want to buy the digicools. No, he sent that to me, and he's a real big proponent. So I would hate myself if I didn't ask. So we asked.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, you always have to ask. You don't know the answer unless you ask.
That's exactly right.
So yeah, so we were talking about the pump. So we have QS5, great little pump, 5 CFM. One thing I've heard about pumps, I've heard a few guys say this, is they hate pumps with plastic bases because the bases will break when the pump starts jumping around and stuff.
This is true.
And vibrating. And ours has a nice solid metal base, so you won't have that issue. It's got a rubberized handle and brass fittings. So it's we have a few upgrades on it that some of the other ones on the market don't have in that size, and it's a really nice price point on that one too. It's going to be a lot cheaper than some of the other pumps out there.
Yeah, I can see. I pulled it up on my phone here. It looks like it's about 100 to 150 less than the Hillmore's newest pump. So I can see pictures of it here on the QS5. Looks like a nice pump.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid pump for us. A lot of guys like that. We used to have a pump back in the day called the Shark. I don't know if you guys ever saw that one out there, but it actually literally looked like a shark.
Good.
I had to look that up.
It had this kind of gaudy plastic body on it, and it was shaped like a shark. But
That was before your day, though, huh?
it was definitely before my day, but some of the guys really liked it out there. It was pretty cool.
The 9-year-old techs loved it.
Yeah, I think a lot of techs are 9 years old at heart.
Well, that's true.
I think I might be too.
How long have you been with Inficon?
So I've been with Inficon a total of about 8.5 years. This group, the Service Tools group, I've only been with about 2.5. So I started out at Inficon, and this is actually a really good opportunity to just talk a little bit about Inficon as a whole. You guys obviously know the Service Tools part of Inficon, which is actually a very small part of the company. Inficon as a whole has been around since about 1970, and we were started right here in Syracuse, New York. And we originally were basically, it was started by a bunch of nerdy science people, and I mean, they're way smarter than I am, but they're great people. They started out in a lot more scientific, technical field. They started out making gas chromatographs and RGAs, residual gas analyzers, and thin film equipment, which that's actually where I came from, was thin film. Now, most people, Zach, you look confused. So most people,
I have no idea what you're saying.
Most people look at me when I say thin film. They go, "What the hell is a thin film? Is it like, how thin is thin? And what are you talking about?" So basically, there are thin films everywhere. There are thin films on your glasses.
Right. Okay. I'm thinking it's saran wrap my ex-wife used to use.
Nope, not quite that.
Oh god.
That is pretty thin though. But no. So your optic lenses, your eyeglasses, your microscope lenses, telescopes, anything with a lens, your rifle scope, whatever has a lens on it has some kind of film on it. It could be an anti-scratch coating, an anti-glare coating, could be a filter like a bandpass filter that filters out certain wavelengths of light. There are all kinds of different thin films, and that's what this department makes equipment for. We don't actually make the films, but we make equipment that measures the films. So usually when you're making one of these films, there's a really smart guy in a factory or in a clean room somewhere. Yep, and he's got a big vacuum chamber, and they load let's say they're doing eyeglass lenses, they load all the lenses into this vacuum chamber, they pump it way down to super high vacuum, and then they heat up a little cup of metal or whatever it is they're going to put on it, and it literally evaporates and deposits itself on the lens. So that when you're doing that, you put one of our sensors in there next to whatever you're evaporating on, and that measures the thickness of the film. So it's pretty complex, and it's a really cool technology. But so we've been doing that for quite a while.
And you still do it.
We still do it, right? And we're actually we're the biggest player in that market in the world.
Wow.
With the thin film stuff. So we have a lot of really big customers, and aside from the eyeglass lenses and stuff, they also use it on television displays and all kinds of things like that. So there's some really big companies into that market, and so we deal with a lot of them. That's one of our biggest markets at Inficon. And I worked with that group for 6 years before I came over to the service.
I had no idea.
Me neither. We're talking about the tip of the iceberg with HVAC, I guess.
Right, exactly. And we actually have a couple different factories. I think we have 5 factories actually around the world. So we have the Syracuse factory, and that's where the majority of that's where the thin film stuff is made. That's where our residual gas analyzers are made. chemical detection stuff, and then we have a factory in Cologne, Germany. That's where the majority of our leak detection stuff is made, not the HVAC stuff, but the higher end factory manufacturing HVAC leak detectors. So when they're manufacturing your condenser or your refrigerator or whatever, they're going to use a benchtop leak detector in the factory to check for leaks right off of the assembly line, and we make those too. So we're actually in the factories at a lot of these manufacturers.
Because I've been to several manufacturers' tours, and I've seen it, but I never, well, what brand is that?
Yep.
Because at that time, that's the least important thing. But next time I go to one,
look for the Inficon.
I will. I mean, because they all have the big machine.
Yep. And those are made in Cologne, in Germany. So we're actually even though we're in Syracuse, we're actually technically part of that group in Germany. So it's kind of a weird demographic there.
So is the company headquartered in Germany, or are they headquartered in Syracuse?
Well, technically, we're on the Swiss Stock Exchange, so we're technically our corporate headquarters is in Switzerland, but it's basically an office with like 3 people in it.
Right.
But the Service Tools is based in Syracuse, even though, like I said, we report to the German office. We're based in Syracuse. It's kind of weird like that, but that's how it is.
Now, are the tools made in Syracuse? All
the handhelds are made in Syracuse.
Okay, so everything's American made then.
Yep. So your DTEC, your TechMate, Compass, GasMate, Whisper, that stuff is all made in Syracuse.
And the scales?
The scale is one of the only products we actually, I didn't get there yet. We actually have a factory that we own and operate in China, in Shanghai.
Right.
And, we make the scale and our recovery machine in our China factory.
Right. Well, you noticed in that video what I did with the batteries.
Yes. Yeah, I saw you with the Chinese batteries.
I got rid of them. I didn't,
That's called tester syndrome.
We haven't had anybody complain about them. I mean, there's that, thankfully, we haven't had any issues with them exploding or anything like that. Everybody's been pretty happy with them. So, I mean, if we did have any problems like that, we would definitely do something about it. But there's been absolutely zero problems with them up to this point.
Right.
So, I mean, we're pretty confident that they're a halfway decent battery, even though I think they're called like White Elephant or something like that.
I didn't even say that. But I saw it. I saw it, and I was like, "Well, I'm just going to put my regular door.
Yep.
I'm going to avoid any problems."
Chevrolet America batteries or something.
That's great. Yep. But I mean, you saw, obviously you've had your time with our scale, and that's like I said, we make that in our China factory. So it's still, everything is designed, and we check everything over here in Syracuse. We design everything in Syracuse. They just assemble it in our China factory, basically. So that one. And that one, it was just as good a product as any of our other ones. So,
well, it could take me running over with the truck.
Yeah, exactly. So they, we actually, there's always this, there's always sort of a stigma with, with having things made in China. But a lot of the times, if you're having stuff made in China, you're just working with some Chinese company to make it for you. And that's not what we're doing at all, because we actually own our factory in China. It's Inficon people in China, and it's actually run by a couple of Europeans over there. It's not even, the people who run the factory aren't even Chinese. They're some of the, the workers obviously are, but the guys who are in charge over there are, I want to say German, but I'm pretty sure he would yell at me if I said German. I don't. He's from somewhere else in Europe. Well, but they do a great job over there for us. So, we can't really take that away from them.
That's always a concern, especially when I'm reviewing something. Like that's those stuff they used to be made in Germany, and then they've moved their lower end products over to China, and it just seemed like when they did that, the quality of the product went down.
Yep.
And that was a big deal with the batteries. Guys were having their probes, catch on fire. Not really catch on fire yet. One guy could have, but he just happened to be around.
It ruptured, I think, is what happened to it.
Yeah.
So that's what the guys will ask that question. They'll ask, "Hey, where's this thing made?"
Oh yeah, definitely. We get that question all the time. And like I said, all of our handhelds, the leak detectors, they're all made in the U.S. But those two products we do have coming out of our China factory. But they've been super good so far. We really haven't had any issues. Their quality control's great. They work really closely with our engineers, and so it goes really well for us over there. But right now we only have a couple of products there.
Fantastic. Well, Ralph, we've done it again. We've gone another hour.
I know.
Time
and we
flies.
could probably talk. We could talk more about it, but yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed it, and I'm glad you agreed to come on. I know in the beginning you were kind of like, well,
who is this guy? Why do I want to talk to him?
Yeah. But
no, it's great. I really appreciate you guys having me on here. It's a good opportunity to talk to you guys a little bit and hear what you have to say, and then obviously hopefully get the word out a little bit more about Inficon and what we do and the products we have.
Well, that's the idea. I mean, that's why we do it, because we do. Our industry is the guys. They have to depend on what they see in the supply house, and generally
right.
that's the. But YouTube and all these other different social medias outlets have changed the tool manufacturers' worlds that they don't even realize, because we're talking about it on social media, we're doing videos about it, and it's kind of free advertising for you guys, what I mean, that you don't realize you're getting. I like I said, I couldn't believe, like the H10, I probably sold, I don't know, Zack could tell you, he bought one because of it. Yeah. And other tools.
Yeah, if the guys hear about it, they get. It's almost like a little bit of tunnel vision. They'll see all these tools over and over again, and it kind of imprints on you. Say, well, these must be good tools because these guys keep talking about it. So it's one of them things like getting the word out there. Like say Inficon, let's say talk about the D-Tech, for example. The new D-Tech comes out. So well, this must be a good tool. A lot of people are talking about it. People start trying it, and if they like it, the word spreads. Of course, it's a reverse too. If it's no good, the word spreads there too. But you have a good tool. I've used the D-Tech, so I know it's a good tool. So it's a good thing to do. Just getting the word out. It multiplies over time. Oh,
it definitely does. Because this will be here forever.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah,
till the internet breaks.
Yeah, till the internet breaks.
It's only 5 more years before that happens. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
No, it really is. We like I said, nobody knows about the products, and it's good that we could get manufacturers, a rep from a manufacturer to come in and talk to us about their product. And that way, it does give the guys more of a, hey man, this is a good deal. They're going to do this or they'll do that or whatever, right. And gives a little more insight on the company.
That's right. The next product release will be the D-Tech 3.
Yes.
So how about you pay us a visit then, and we can talk about that whenever it starts.
That sounds awesome. I'd love to. Definitely.
Perfect. Ralph, do you have anything else for him, man?
No, other than, hey, man, I really do appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
And we'll keep in touch for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You guys have anything, you come up with any ideas or you have any issues with anything, you definitely give us a call. And like I said, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And we'll be in touch.
You've been listening to the Working Joe's podcast with Zack and Ralph Wolf. Go check out Working Joe's Roundtable on YouTube and WorkingJoesRoundtable.com. If you want to leave a comment, go over to the YouTube channel and find this podcast. Let us know what you think of the podcast, good or bad, and who you'd like to see on the podcast next week. Stay tuned for more great guests like Scott from Ultravision and James from Rector Seal.